And guys, this is the right way to do small electronics work. You know, when you go to a radio shop, they put those stupid like twist ties on here, and that's just not the professional way to do it. Hey, welcome back, guys. So it's been a minute since you guys have seen the gold or champagne 84 300 SD. This car is in the final stages. So I've already done all the suspension work, and I didn't record it on this car because I was recording it on the ivory white 300 SD, and it takes me 2 to 3 times as long to make these videos when I'm recording all the suspension work. So what we're going to do today, we'll put it up on the lift, and I'll just go through and show you the completed suspension work. This has already been over to the alignment shop. The alignment is good. And what we got back in today, if you remember from several videos back, I sent the radio off to Becker to have it restored, and I just got the radio back. So this is the one that goes with that car. So we see it was Becker restored, and I also specifically requested the Bluetooth. Now the Bluetooth option, you don't notice anything at all when you're looking at the radio. You turn it on, there's nothing different. It's exactly the same as factory. However, if you turn on your phone and activate your Bluetooth, you will see a Bluetooth name pop up. And let's see, this one it'll pop up as JC Audio BT8645. I guess they just program a random number on each radio. And all you do is connect. It'll automatically connect. You don't have to do anything at all on the radio. Pretty cool how they do that. So the other thing we were waiting on, I actually ordered this piece from Becker because this had been removed from the original car when the aftermarket radio had been installed. And this is a genuine Becker power plug. So we're going to solder this back into the car, but that's the power plug that actually connects there to the back of the radio. So let's go ahead and we're going to take this stuff to the car. We're just going to twist wire everything in. We're not going to do any soldering yet. And then once we confirm everything works, then we will hard solder all the lines into the car, and we have the original factory wiring and radio back in the vehicle. All right, guys, hopefully you can see this okay. So we have our power plug. That's the missing piece where we left off in one of the previous videos. And we're just going to go ahead, connect this one in, wire it right in. It's got the same color wires. All right, so we got that all hooked up. Now let's go ahead and start connecting things. So we have our ground. This is always a little tricky with the shifter in the way here. And sorry, you guys probably can't see the back of the radio, but we're going to first connect in our ground. All right, we're just going to tighten our ground screw there. Keep in mind, these are temporary connections until we verify everything works, and then we solder it out. So what we have here, the way this works, this like purple and gray one, that's accessory power 12 volt. This red one is constant 12 volt, and this like green, black, and yellow one, that is ignition 12 volt. So now keep in mind, I still got to solder all these. They're just bare wires now. But what we have now, when we turn on, we're in the accessory position. And if I turn on the radio, all right. Now if I turn on the headlights, there we go. We can see that it lights up. We can see we have a stereo signal. And I've also wanted to control our antenna. Sorry, let me turn this down. All right, I just turned that down, and our antenna is up so we can confirm. Beautiful. We have a working antenna control. We can see that comes up perfect. Let me turn off the radio.
So congratulations.
And let's watch the antenna. Perfect. So what we want to do now, we want to unplug everything from the back of the radio, and we want to solder all these connections and put shrink wrap, heat shrink wrap around them, so that is then permanent. All right, guys, you can see I have the soldering iron plugged up down here. It's sitting on a block of wood, so it doesn't sit up and heat up with the carpet. And guys, this is the right way to do small electronics work. You know, when you go to a radio shop, they put those stupid like twist ties on here, and that's just not the professional way to do it. If you want something professional that'll last forever, yeah, I'm sure those things last a long time, but the correct way to do it is the way I'm about to show you. So for example, let's just undo this one piece here. All right, so we have our two ends. First thing we want to do is slip over. That's our shrink wrap tubing. And that's what we're going to use a heat gun to seal over the connection. Okay, there we have our connection. So once we solder it, we're then going to slide this. Here we go. We're then going to slide that over it, and we're going to hit it with a heat gun, and it'll permanently shrink wrap over the solder to protect it from moisture. So let me show you how we solder the connection. And I've already tinned the tip. You just want to put a little bit of solder right on the tip. Then you want to hold it on the underside of the wire. You actually want to heat the wire, not the solder. And then you want to push the solder into the wire, and the wire will absorb the solder and make that a permanent connection. There we go. I mean, it's that quick. But that right there, that connection, that is never coming apart. Those wires are bonded together. So then we're going to push our shrink wrap over it like that. And let me go get the heat gun, and I'll show you how that works. Here is the heat gun. Now, you want to be careful when using this. Basically, you want to make sure there's nothing like behind what you're heating. And also, when you're done, you do not want to set this down. All right, there we go. That one is almost heated fully. You want to be careful not to set it down on your MB Tex because it's still hot. All right, I'm going to set that down outside the car on the ground because that tip is hot. And there you go, guys. That is a permanent connection. That's how you do this. That recording. So, but what we can see here, we have professionally soldered and shrink wrapped all the original connections back to the radio. There's all the speaker connections, and it's all professionally soldered and shrink wrapped. That is permanent, and that is exactly the wiring that was from Mercedes. So let's go ahead and pop this in the dash, and before we put everything back together, make sure everything is working correctly. Turn on our power, and first thing we see is the clock comes on. Now I'm going to turn out the light, and let's make sure the accessory lighting comes on when I turn the headlights on. There we go. That's the cigarette lighter light there. And let's go ahead and turn the light back on here. There we go. Let's go ahead and turn the radio on. And if you press star and then type in your channel, that's how. Whoa! Holy cow! That was loud. All right. There's our fader. Awesome. All right. Little motley crew. But mission accomplished. So let's go ahead and we'll get this reinstalled in the dash, and we're done with the original radio installation. All right, we have everything reassembled. Got our radio, got our ashtray, and it looks fantastic. So done with that, guys. Okay guys, as I mentioned, I did not record the video doing the front suspension and working on the rear suspension and the brakes and calipers because I was working on another car. So I'm going to take you guys under here and show you guys all of the suspension work. And guys, suspension to me is the most important thing on a vehicle. Well, you can see here we have new brakes, new brake calipers, new brake lines, new Bilstein shocks, new ball joints, new outer tie rod. We have a new center link. We have a new steering stabilizer. And of course it continues on this side. And up here we see the new control rod bushing. And there we go. There's the control rod bushing there also. These are all new components, and to me suspension is the most important. That's why I like to do this on just about every car. Some of the low mileage cars don't need it, but this is where your butt makes contact through the road, is through these suspension components. There's a new Bilstein shock back here, and these are the HD shocks, so that it's a stiffer ride like it was from the factory. There's the sway bar end link, new brake lines, new calipers. All of that has been taken care of. And back to the Bilstein shocks. Again, I put in the HD shocks. You might be able to see that part number right up there. Because the factory, that's what the factory cars felt like. I've ridden in tons of the factory original cars, and a lot of these part sites will recommend a different Bilstein shock, and it's much softer. And I've installed one of those part numbers before, and the car will have too much body roll. It'll be too soft. So always make sure you put in the Bilstein HD shock. It's a much better ride, especially in the SDs. So, and guys, that is going to wrap it up for this 1984 300 SD. I am done. Been working on it for, I don't know, a couple of months on and off. There's lots of cars in the shop. You guys can see all the cars everywhere. There's another one out there. But yeah, that wraps it up for this SD. She's ready to go. So hope you enjoyed the video series. Hope you learned something, and hope you enjoyed watching all the work that I did. Anyway, take care, and we'll see you next time.